Should the NHL go to the MLB's jersey format for the All-Star game? So flip around what they do now. The specialty jerseys, the All-Star jerseys, would be worn for the skills competition, and the team would wear their actual jerseys for the actual game.
Can I answer this first?
Go for it.
You could have just done it.
Uh, well, being that you can't see me, I just want to make sure. But
Okay,
thank
John.
you. Okay.
Da 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 da. Today I learned that song is a
Okay.
full rap, or not today. Yesterday I learned it's a full song with
Have you
Really?
seen
featured
that?
in a
Have you
full
seen
album.
that? Have you seen that like viral video where it's like the prank call thing of like where they keep calling and playing the song or whatever, and it's like, do you support the military? It's like, oh, of course. Oh, because a former Marine is gonna be in the Super Slam this weekend. It is. If you call this house one more time, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I saw one that's just it was from some sort of longer rap or rant that he did in the ring, but it's just boobies, and then the crowd cheers.
I love it.
All right, but anyways, my thoughts are no, and my reasoning because with baseball they primarily have two. Every team has two the same color jerseys, one for away, which is primarily a gray color, and the other is white. And then, granted, you have some variations like pinstripes in baseball, whereas in hockey you deal with the clash jersey and the standard primary jersey, which is you usually have some random dark color and then you have a white jersey. My issue would be is that you have teams who wear a color helmet with a white jersey where other teams wear white helmets with the white jersey. I just feel like if you did the home jersey team versus the away team, there wouldn't necessarily be enough difference. And it could get confusing quite fast with so many different colors on the ice. But, I mean, if anyone else thinks it would be different, please.
I mean, I having played like pickup hockey and at local rinks and stuff where you play like, oh, it's yellow, blue, and red against black and white or whatever. Like it's do like even in that space, it's doable. And I think for me, as we're getting, like this year, there's four teams. You have four different divisions, but there's two jerseys, and theoretically, any team can wear either jersey. And fans are like, well, I don't want to get a blue Gensel jersey if the Metro is going to come out in game one wearing white and lose, and then they
Which,
never
let's
wore
be
that
fair,
jersey.
I feel like that's mainly just our sect of the fan base that
Yeah,
thinks like that.
yeah.
Which
Uh,
even me, I was kind of like that, but I want to get that blue one. I don't care if they don't wear
the
it at
blue
all.
one's nice. Yeah, I
Like,
think
I'll take the jersey foul on this one if it ends up being a
I,
foul.
I
I
think
don't
in,
care.
in this space where you're having like there seems to be a disconnect, and I think they're always trying new things with the All Star Game, which kudos to the NHL for that. Is obviously it hasn't been met with rave reviews, so they've been playing around with it. They've done the team draft thing. They've done 3-on-3 now for a while. I'd like for them to try something new, to be honest. But kudos to them for experimenting. I think when you're in that space and you're not really sure what you're doing, I think maybe it does make more sense to wear the All Star Game jerseys in the skills competition, where it's a lot more static and it doesn't really matter. Um, that being said, I guess it really depends how you're doing the events. If we're doing what like we did this year, where there's really very little team stuff, I think it makes a lot more sense to um, have yourselves in your individual team jerseys. That way, you can kind of distinguish between the players a lot more. Especially if there's people who aren't super big hockey people who are watching this kind of thing. Maybe it does make sense. And I think I'm talking myself out of my own answer here. But I think now that I think about it, if you're in a game and you're in a more uniform space, it makes more sense to wear a uniform. Whereas if you're doing individual skills competitions, maybe it makes more sense to wear your individual jersey.
I feel like the question, you should take it to a point of you as a viewer on TV or in the stands.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It would kind of be a mess to wear. I mean, I love the skills competition because I like seeing all those jerseys. But you're seeing him pretty slow, standing around talking environment versus like six players on the ice moving in and out, all wearing different stuff. And now that I'm thinking about like on the NHL video game, like when you play threes and you have like a mascot with a different jersey than your team, it is a little bit a little bit off-putting.
Because no offense, like let's get back to the topic of Tampa and Toronto being in the same division. So imagine if they were on the ice at the same time. You couldn't tell them apart if they both wore their home jerseys. You wouldn't be able to tell from the speed of it. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to tell who's different. So I feel like
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I would definitely have divisions like one team would wear darks, one team would wear lights for sure. I wouldn't do color on color, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you couldn't do color on color with that. My answer, is the same as you guys, and for the reasons that you guys both mentioned, I think it's fine the way it is. In the skills competition, of course it makes sense to have everybody in their team's jerseys because it gives people, more of a rooting interest for what team you're on, and especially for the casual fans. And even if it could be done in the actual game with dark on light, a bunch of different colors, it would still be just visually a mess, especially for the fans. But I remembered the thing that I was actually going to say earlier that I'd forgotten about, and I'm going to tie it in here now. Imagine the AllStar format. You have the four captains. They compete in one event, let's say accuracy shooting, because that's something where I guess all of them should be somewhat even. Um, and after that, they get their draft order. Each of them are like wearing their jerseys or something like that they're going to have. They get their draft order from that. They draft a player. That player takes off their team jersey, puts on the All Star jersey. Those four players then compete in the next competition.
Next
Let's say
down,
it's
yeah,
fastest skating. So you have to think, okay, Dylan Larkin is really good. He's a really fast skater, and he's a good player. Let's take him first. You know what
I
I
like,
mean? And then the
I
draft
love,
order goes from there. The team
I
picks their
love
next player,
that.
something like that. Like imagine that kind of format. It would take a lot of
I
logistics, but imagine that kind of format. And then as the players get picked, they change out of their, team jerseys into the
I
All
think
Star
that's
jerseys that they get
cool.
picked
I
from.
like that a lot.
Even
I
if
like
you
that.
do it with like two teams instead of four,